Hi everyone. Um, Trump delivered, I guess you could say, a speech. It was at a launch of Black Voices for Trump coalition, and this was back November 8th of 2019. Um, it was so moving to me. I watched it today. It was so moving and so powerful that I wanted to talk about it with you guys today. Ben Carson started out by introducing our president, and Ben Carson is an American politician, an author, and retired neurosurgeon who has served as the 17th United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development since 2017. He was a candidate for president of the United States for the Republican Party back in 2016, at times leading nationwide polls of Republicans. He is considered a pioneer in the field of neurosurgery. So this guy, Ben Carson, his head full of brains. Smart. Really smart. Dangerously smart. If he wants to be. But at least he uses his powerful faculties for good. Thank God. So Trump came on and was talking about the overall progress he's made and how it compares to what's been going on with the Democrats. And as we all know, folks, a lot of nothing. A lot of nothing. In fact, President Trump had come up with a nickname for these devilish Democrats: the do-nothing Democrats. The do-nothing Democrats that would rather hurt political opponents rather than help African American citizens. Democrats would rather invest in green global projects versus Trump would rather invest in African American communities and have our factories up and running, creating jobs. What people have to realize is that whole green initiative, which was actually the Paris Agreement, isn't sensible, logical, feasible, functionable for major factories and companies, like big companies like that. They really need a powerhouse source. So President Trump keeps it old school, so that we can have these factories, so they can run efficiently, and so we can have jobs. So therefore, President Trump got rid of the Paris Agreement. It was an agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change and dealing with greenhouse gases, greenhouse gas emissions, adaptation, and finance. It was signed in 2016. The representatives of 196 state parties at the 21st Conference of the Parties of the UNFCCC was in Paris, France. And again, the whole totality, if you look at the idea, if you look at this agreement, it's just doesn't make sense for factories to get the job done. And so it's at the end of the day, something like that of a powerhouse can't be ran on those type of energy sources. So Trump went on to talk about, he's made progress to revitalize schools, neighborhoods. I'm so sorry. He actually was talking about revitalizing neighborhoods, stressed neighborhoods, In schools have been stressed as well. But in this frame of thought, he referenced Tim Scott and other senators that were instrumental in passing the 9,000 opportunity zones that were created. And it includes 26 zones. 8 million African Americans live in these zones. And Democrats completely voted against it. And another reason I wanted to make this video is because we have that whole BLM bullshit, or I'm sorry, bullcrap going on, and it's a complete lie, fake. They've brainwashed people to just tear down our cities for the agenda of the Democrats, communists. And if you peel back the layers, guys, if you peel back the layers, you'll see that actions speak louder than words, as they always do. And our president has been stepping up to the plate. And not only has he stepped up to the plate, this man makes home runs. All right? So Democrats completely voted against this. Republicans, nonetheless, got it passed. Now, Democrats know they made a really big mistake, and they will never publicly admit it. And now, money is pouring into our African American communities. So it is mind-blowing what our president has been up against. And every step of the way, he sees these evil monsters and their self-interests and how they just want to take the world down with them in the name of communism. And our president just boop, 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 and just flies right over them. Leaves them in the dust. That's what he does. It's quite amazing. African American leaders have reached out to President Trump, concerned about a cause that is very dear to them, and that cause is criminal justice reform. Trump signed a bipartisan criminal justice reform into law. In fact, it's been said online that Trump was eager to sign this initiative, or to sign this law. Sign this law. And the bipartisan was a First Step Act into law on December 21st of 2018. And during his 2019 State of the Union address, Trump's touted, how Trump is, he's proud. He touted the new law's success. That's our president, guys. He's untouchable. Now, this legislation reforms sentencing laws that have wrongly and disproportionately harmed the African American community. Trump explained on February 5th, the First Step Act gives nonviolent offenders the chance to re-enter society as productive, law-abiding citizens. Now, states across the country are now following that lead. And Trump's America is what I call it. Trump's America is a nation that believes in redemption, as God does. It's just a beautiful thing, guys. Also, Trump's America is advancing second chance hiring that rehabilitates citizens with criminal record back into jobs, gets them, rehabilitated so they can go back into the job workforce. The economy has been so good, and employers are happy that they've been trying many years. They were wondering, all these years, why this never went into effect. And I just also want to say, guys, this launch I'm talking about happened before the coronavirus. So here's President Trump talking about how good everything is. The progress, making progress, making headway. and this is before the coronavirus. So when they say, when Democrats say our president hasn't made any progress and he's a racist, know that that's, again, another one of their insults and attacks to confuse America. Do we want these tyrant dictators trying to confuse Americans, delude them, and trick them out of, voting for them so they can screw everybody over and be in bed with communist China while they take over our country and eradicate most of what the vital parts of our Constitution? No. And that's exactly what's been going on, guys. So employers were really happy that this is working. This rehabilitation, getting people jobs, the whole second chance was helping. It was helping people going back into the workforce, and it was helping employers. And for many, many years, nobody else tried. Last I understand from this launch, President Obama didn't do jack. He didn't do jack. He was busy reforming laws, creating loopholes so they can continue their criminality of what they do to children and what's going on in our world with communism. So Obama didn't give a flip about the African American community. So if we peel back the layers and we look at the facts, guys, it is eye-opening, jaw-dropping, incredible what these corrupt Democrats have not been doing. They haven't not been doing their job. They've been running around trying to create loopholes so they can take over this world with communist China and just tear down our country, flush it down the toilet. Reform for African Americans, rehabilitation for jobs for, when they come out of jail, investing in African American communities, investing in these Americans that Democrats have zoned out for years and ignored and left by the wayside. Democrats have literally left African American communities by the wayside. Then they go into these African American communities and they make an appearance and they'll smile in your face and they want to sound so charismatic and they're up to they're up to such good for your community, and then they leave and they completely screw everybody over and they forget about our African American communities that are suffering in catastrophic ways, from schools to crime to jobs to a lot of stuff. And it's the Democrats that have been running these inner cities 60 to 100 years, and they've ran it into the ground. And they have forgotten and just turned their backs on the very individuals that gave them that vote, gave them that support. And Democrats, not only are they running these cities into the ground, but they've been trying to run the rest of America into the ground by having open borders, allowing illegals, gangs, drugs to just pour into our country. And they want to schmooze these illegal aliens. And countless of them, they want to invest and they want to schmooze these illegal aliens with benefits, free medical, schooling, free schooling, public benefits, of medical, dental. They they are gonna roll out the red carpet VIP package for illegal aliens, while turning their back on American taxpayers and African American communities. So if we look at the facts, Democrats put illegal aliens first over African Americans and taxpayers. And why? Why? I mean, I've given my personal assessment, an opinion on it. It's because they really want to schmooze these illegal aliens coming in, so they can recruit them for their Antifa or their M13, whatever it is that they got going on in their agenda to take down this world in the name of communism. But they're not going to tell America that. They're not going to say that. But that's what it is. That's part of it. And also, I feel that when these illegals come in and they start working for the deep state, the mob, communist, whatever you want to call it, in this capacity, I wish there was a law that they automatically get shipped back to where they came from and they can't come back. Because I've seen a lot of that going on with Scientology fair game. They pay these people $100 a day to be domestic terrorists. And again, that cult, you can kill someone, and everybody who's a Scientologist, from the very people at that moment, all the way that are Scientologists at the police station, Scientologists who are security guards, who their job is to sweep it under the carpet so that the criminality can continue and the power that they wage will succeed in the name of corruption and in the name of violation of human and violation of civil rights. So I'm glad that President Trump is aware of all the possibilities. Not to say that immigrants coming into our country is not a good thing. It's a good thing, but we got to look at the whole situation as a whole, like our president has done. So I feel that's something important to say regarding the whole immigrant thing. They definitely want to schmooze these immigrants, and then they can just recruit these people to be domestic terrorists. Now, President Trump went on to say that Republicans believe public benefits should be protected for American citizens. Money we spend on illegal aliens, we could completely rebuild inner cities, repair crumbling infrastructure, and terrible, horrible public schools. And our president's so right. And Democrats don't care about any of those things. All they care about is tearing down Republicans, tearing down our president, and moving on with their agenda behind the scenes while they smile in everyone's face with this whole communism crap. Democrats shut down the government last year. It could have been maybe in 2018, since this launch was in November of 2019. They shut down the government to preserve money for illegal immigrants. And again, I'm going to say, because these Democrats, they plan for everything. And I know they were planning for the whole Antifa and all this stuff that's going on. They wanted to make sure that their paid domestic terrorists to fight their battles are going to be taken care of with taxpayers' money. And that's something that we got to be very aware of. So again, Democrats had shut down the government to preserve money for illegal immigrants. And on my end, I'm saying it's part of it is for recruitment for domestic terrorism. It's they even put the well-being of illegal aliens coming into this country over the value of the police department. And they want to do away with the police department so they can have these immigrant lowlifes who come in. And what I mean by that is the lowlifes who take part in the domestic terrorism. They eventually want them to police us. And it's going to be violent and it's going to be brutal. And we can kiss our human and civil rights goodbye. Because China, communist China, doesn't believe in civil rights, human rights, workers' rights. Forget about it, guys. And that's what you get with Biden. Biden is a corrupter, and he's been in bed with these domestic terrorists for years. And I'm going to make a next video on that. But 20 out of 20 inner cities ran by Democrats at every level of government for the last 60 years were the most dangerous to America, and ran by crooked Democrats that were ruling. Now, Philadelphia has a poverty rate more than double the national average, and it's had a Democratic mayor since 1952. So you know that's ran completely to hell. Detroit is one of the poorest cities in America. After 60 years, Democrats took African Americans totally for granted and did nothing for the communities. Isn't that sick? Democrats are sellouts. They are the biggest whore sellouts for special interests. And lately it seems the special interest is communism. And they've also shipped out jobs overseas. So they're doing nothing any good for this country. They're tearing it apart. Now, undoing the damage of the corrupt Democrat rule and making a new history of opportunity and prosperity is what Trump's been all about, and it's what he's been doing. Trump has done more in 3 years. Again, this was taken last November. This launch was made last November. He's done more in the last 3 years than broken Washington establishment has done in more than 30 years. And also, Trump's administration has created 6.7 million jobs since the election. African American unemployment rate has been the lowest that last month, which was November, or actually October of 2019, reaching lowest level in the history of the country, and lowest all-time history low in poverty for African American youth. And President Trump is all about bringing investment to neglected communities. 250 million have been lifted out of poverty, and 150 of that 250 million, 150,000 were children. And President Trump made an analogy. What does 150,000 look like? And he said, equivalent to 3 Yankee stadiums filled with people. Pretty incredible. He's passed massive tax cuts for working families, and especially families of 4 members or more. And in the last 2 years, he has provided $8 billion in business contracts and financing to minority, small-owned businesses, which alone has provided over 20,000 jobs. That's our president, guys. That's our president. He's gotten rid of job-destroying regulations more than any other administration. Republicans are fighting for school choice. And President Trump said no child, or, well, no parent should have to force their child, sending their child out the door to a government failing school. He said this shouldn't be happening. And he's absolutely right. No late-term abortions. You know, Democrats, they have no boundaries. Democrats, completely insane. Completely no boundaries. Whatever fits their agenda, the more extreme, the better, because they're crazy. Trump's America is bringing back our religion, making it again, and keeping it a religious nation. And no nation, guys, is a nation without God. So vital, and that's the one thing they really want to take out. They want to make our communities satanic, volatile with violence, conquering and dividing. We can't allow this, guys, and this is what Biden's all about. Don't be fooled by his little smiles. Those smiles is what's gonna destroy this country, and they've been trying. They're trying right now with these fires and Antifa, all the violence. Come on. Democrats are disgracing us as a nation, President Trump went on. If Democrats got off their delusional witch hunts against our president and instead devoted energy, that same energy, into their communities, the world would be a better place. Yeah. Our president is calming, he's soothing, he's healing the very hearts in our African American communities and putting back what America so desperately lost in the Obama administration and in previous administrations. He's repairing our nation, guys. He's putting back the pieces, the broken pieces, to the United States of America. Literally. I want to say God bless our president and God bless America. And we got to stand tall and we got to stand strong and not let the Democrats pull the wool over our eyes and destroy us. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video. See you soon.